Daf Nun Bet Amud Aleph, 39 lines down. Tanan Hatam, continuing with the halachot of coins that eroded. Tanan Hatam, Sela Shinif Sela, a coin that became disqualified, whether it became taken out of circulation or became heavily eroded. V'hit Kinash Yeh Shokel Ba Mishklot. And one used it as a weight to weigh things with it. Tame'ah, it's able to become tameh. Only items that have a use, like a utensil or an item, that is able to become tameh. So over here with this item that previously had no use, then he used it as a weight, it has the ability to become tameh. Up to how long can it be reduced and you're able to still use it? For a sela, it can be reduced up to 2 denarim. After, if it's less than that, he has to destroy it. So the Gemara asks, what do you mean more than this? If it's less than this, you have to cut it up. And if it's more than this, you also have to cut it up. Meaning this is the limit, more or less than this. Rabbi says no. If it's less than the 2 denarim, you have to cut it. More than you can keep it. Now we're gonna have a question against Rav Huna, who said more or less you cut. The question. If it's more than the minimum, you can sell it for its worth. It sounds like even if it eroded more than its limit, that is considered fraud, you could still sell it its worth. So we see that you can keep it. Says more means that if the coin weighs more, yani did not erode enough to be considered a limit of fraud, then you could sell it for the worth. Tomorrow asks another question. How much can be reduced and you can still use it? For a sela until it's worn down to a shekel. Sounds like as it gets eroded from the full coin to a little shekel, it's able to be used. We see that's against Rav Huna, who said you have to already have cut it up earlier before it got to the size of a shekel. Gemara says that then I feel the nurav in Achanami, we agree that if it got eroded to the point where it's half of that, for example, you'd have to throw it out. So how did it get so small? Let's say it got into a fire or it got singed and burnt to the size of a shekel, then you're able to use it. You skipped steps, that's okay. Amar Mor. We said in the Mishnah that you should make a hole in it and use it as a necklace so people don't use it as a coin. Like those coins that you use like for those tokens for like an action back in the day. But I mean, if it's the person should not make an eroded coin that's beyond the fraud limit into a weight. Don't put it among these fragments of utensils. Don't use it as a necklace for your son or daughter. Rather, you should grind it, melt it, or cut it. Or throw it into the Dead Sea. Meaning, we don't want you to accidentally get confused or someone accidentally uses it for fraud. Therefore, kish it. Don't use it for anything, including a necklace. Again, our Mishnah. Where we say that you're able to use it as a necklace and make a hole in it, it's about you piercing in the middle. That's obvious that it won't be used. When it says don't do it, it means piercing on the side, which can be still accepted as currency, which is a problem. We don't want it to get used, so we say don't use it if it's pierced in the side of the necklace. Okay. Our Mishnah said how long you have until to return the coin. In a large city, you have enough time to show it to a money changer. And in the villages until it's Shabbat. How come by the coin we have Shabbat or the money changer, but our Mishnah, by an item like a talet, for example, we said you have until you can ask a relative or a merchant, professional. So how come it's machloket by the coin and not here? That Mishnah mentioned the cloak is talking about large cities, but in Achanami, villagers in the village can have more time till, let's say, Shabbat. Different answer of Amar. An item like a cloak, like a garment. A lot of people are knowledgeable. It's easy to find someone an expert. But a coin, since only money changers are really professionals and knowledgeable about coins, some cities where there's money changers available, that the amount of time it takes to find one. But in villages, where there are no money changers, until they go to the Friday shuk to buy stuff for Shabbat, that's where they have that limit. Next part. He said, if you recognize you have a bad coin, you can return after 12 months, and you should accept it. 1 second. Hey, what are you talking about? in some large cities, how much that she had in the Shulchani. You have until the Shulchani, the find a money changer, not 12 months. For even villages, how much you have until Friday. Why would you wait 12 months? Where it says, Amar Chizda, Midat Hasidut, Kshanu Khan, teaching us if you want to be a tzaddik, you should accept that you have 12 months. But the second part of the Mishnah says, you can only have a complaint lodged against him. Laman, who's complaining? Ila Hasid, the Hasid who's complaining. Look, don't accept it. You tell him too late, you waited too late, I'm not accepting it, then you won't have a complaint against him. So then the Gemara says, okay, maybe you're talking about the guy who got the coin originally. It also doesn't make sense. He will, if you, the Hasid, is taking back his coin from him, then why you have a complaint against him? So what's the Mishnah talking about? The Mishnah said, the Gemara says, no, if the guy takes it back, if the tzaddik takes it back, even though he didn't have to after the deadline, no problem. But if it's someone else who takes it back, who does not take it back, even though he doesn't accept it back from the recipient has nothing except a complaint against him. You passed the deadline. Sorry, you may hate him in your heart, but that's it. Next part of Mishnah. You can use the coin as Ma'aser Shani and not to worry, because only a bad person doesn't accept bad coins. If you have a ripped dollar bill, even though it doesn't look pretty, you should still accept it. Only annoying people don't accept that. So the Gemara says, I see from here, whoever is stubborn about taking monies that have defects, is considered a bad person. That's assuming that the coin is still able to circulate, it's not like it can't work at all. If it can't work at all, then you're not considered a bad person. You just want to be protected. Whereas Mesiah Daf, it's a proof for Hizkiah that you can use it for Ma'aser Shani. That way Hizkiah says, someone who wants to change their coin into a smaller coin, you have to exchange it for the worth of the coin. But if he wants to use it to make Ma'aser Shani onto it, he has his apples, he wants to buy out his apples to put onto coins and bring the coins to Yerushalayim. You can exchange it at good value. That's going to be interesting. Because if the coin's worth $90 instead of $100, and you're telling me to be poded at $100, how does that make sense? Where says my kamar? Even though technically when you're changing a damaged coin, you change it to the worth. When using it for Ma'aser Shani, you use it as if it's a regular good coin. Where it says, that sounds like Hizkiah would hold the mezalzelin of Ma'aser Shani, that you treat Ma'aser Shani lightly because you're taking $90 coin and being podeh $100 worth of fruits on it as if it's a $100 coin that it was, but it's not, it's defected. But we see elsewhere Hizkiah says, Ma'aser Shani she'en bo sheret piruta. If someone has Ma'aser Shani that's not worth a piruta, Omer hu v'humsho, he says, this Ma'aser Shani and the fifth fee that I have to pay, the 20% fee that I have to pay for being mehalalet, mehulal al ma'ot harishonot. It should be exchanged on the previous batch that I did. And if he did the Ma'aser Shani last time, this minuscule amount of Ma'aser Shani I have now that's not even worth it should be mehalel, should be transferred over to the money that I already did previously, which means that a person is never precise, he always gives extra. So what do we see from here? Hizkiah says, you must have had so much extra from the previous round that you're able to use this minimal amount onto that. So we see that Hizkiah doesn't hold that do with hekeh. Hizkiah not only hold that you should give extra. The fact that you're able to do it in this scenario when it's not worth the Shevet Bruta. So how come over here we're saying that you could use less the amount of money because the coin defected for more than from what the coin used to be worth? A $90 worth defected coin as if it's a $100 coin. The Gemara says, no, we misunderstood everything. My BFA, when it says you have to use it, treat it as a good coin, betorat yafeh, according to its sure worth. Yani we're looking at it not a $90 coin as a $100 coin, the opposite. It means that we don't treat Ma'aser Shani lightly twice. In what regard? You don't use a $90 coin as a $100 coin, but the opposite. Because it's only worth $90 now because it's defected, you're going to treat it as an $89 coin because that you may have to sell it a little lower just to get the exchange. So therefore, you don't use it as a good coin, use it as the most for sure price you could get, which is always going to be lower. So you're being mahmir. Kufa. We said earlier, Mar Hiskia, Maaser Sheni she'en bo Masher Putah. If you have a Maaser Sheni that's not worth Shavu Putah, if 2 apples, it's not worth $1. Omer hu v'hamshon l'chala Maaser Sheni, he said you could use it on the previously done batch. The fishy the comparison is not sure precise. The Gemara says, "Meitiv, good question. Haturuma v'bikurim." It applies to turuma and bikurim. Hayavin alehen mita. If someone eats it, they're not supposed to eat it, like a non-Kohen, is hayab karet. Ve'chomesh, and a person who eats it by accident, a non-Kohen who eats truma or bikurim, he has to pay 20% fee. Ve'asurim lezarim, and they're forbidden to a non-Kohen, obviously. The head nechse Kohen, and they belong to the Kohen. Very key point. These things belong to the Kohen. It's not a gift that they have access to. It actually belongs to them. If they want, they could be mekadesh a woman with it. If they become mixed with other stuff, they are batel 1 in 100. Right? Not batel b'shishim, batel b'me'ah. There's 101 apples, and one of these apples go inside, it batel. And they need to wash their hands before using it. And someone who's tameh, there's a few steps from a person becoming tameh. He has to wait the amount of time, dip, then that sunset, the start of the new Hebrew day, which is the nighttime, that sunset, that's called Ha'arif Shemesh, the sunset, becomes Tahor. So he has to also wait for that. This holds for Truma Bikurim, which is not true for Ma'aser Sheni. So now, the Gemara says, what's the exclusion by Ma'aser Sheni? You just mentioned 20 laws. Which one is the exclusion for Ma'aser Sheni? It sounds like Ma'aser Sheni that is less than 1 peruta is batel berov. Meaning only tiruma and maaser, regular tiruma and bikurim is batel 1 in 100. But in general, like any kosher foods, if you're not sure what you have, it's batel berov, majority, simple majority, 3 to 1, boom, batel. So it sounds like 1 peruta would be something less than 1 peruta should be also batel berov. So the Gemara says, if we hold like Hizkiah, that Maaser Sheni worth less than 1 peruta can be redeemed on previous, that's his halacha, right? If you did it last year, you say, yeah, this 2 apples that I have is not worth $1. I can be podet, let it throw on last year's. But the problem is, this is a sugya and shas that it comes up in regarding to Yom Tov and Shabbat. But it applies like here as well. In general, when you have batel means that I have these things, I'm not sure what it is, If it's the majority of the other thing, it becomes nullified, it becomes batel to it, and now it's mutar. That only applies to something that time won't change, or a certain scenario won't change. So, if let's say you have something that you're not sure if it's asur for Shabbat or Yom Tov, you have to wait till after Yom Tov. It's no such thing as batel because you have to wait till the time will be mutar. All you got to do is wait. That's a very easy variable to wait for. Over here, you have another variable according to Hizkiah. According to Hizkiah, if it's batel birov, then it doesn't make sense. Because according to Hizkiah, you don't need it to become batel birov. Because according to Hizkiah, if it's less than Shabbat, you can redeem it. Just redeem it previously on last year's. Where it says, good question, but who says that it's referring to the batel berov part? Maybe it's referring to something else. When it said not maser, maybe it's referring to something else. Maybe it says you can't be bateled at all. Where it says you can't say that. But because our Mishnah is teaching us turuma stringencies. But not taking us leniencies of turuma. Only maaser sheni. Where it says kohen. That's not true. We learned also leniency by Tiruma that this is they belong to the Kohen. So maybe we do mention leniencies. So we give an answer. Don't think that Maaser can't become batel because we see it clearly. Maaser sheni batel beruba. Maaser sheni is batel berov. Maaser sheni. I don't know what type of Maaser sheni do we say? The Maaser she'en bo she'beruta specifically with Maaser without peruta, not with peruta. V'sheniknas l'Yerushalayim v'yetza. It's talking about Maaser sheni that entered Yerushalayim and left. We'll explain what that means soon. Now we can ask the question again. If Hizkiah laws apply, we can be poded the less than 1 peruta from basically in last year's round or last round, then Hizkiah, let him do that trick of being batel of being poded on last year. Venehal, right? You don't need to do batel berov. V'nechal al ma'ot harishanot. Do it on last year's round, and you don't need batel berov. Where it says the lo parik. He didn't do last round. He doesn't have one. Let's say this is his first time doing it. There's no earlier round to throw it onto. Where it says Veneti Maaser de Itle. Okay, so let him bring other Maaser Shni that he has, finish it and combine it, and now you have a full Peruta. Mar says, no, no. A Maaser Shni that's Doraita and a Maaser Shni Drabanan, like now, we can't combine. You have to do it separately. Then I say Demai, so okay, bring Demai, which is also Drabanan. Demai is Safik from an Amaret, whether or not you're not sure if he did it yet. Do that as a combination. If we let demai, let a mistake, safek ones from an amarat, you might actually bring regular masashini, which is duraita. We don't want to mix up. Okay, maybe different. Bring 2 piruta coins, and use a maaser sheni on the value of 1.5 pirutot, and use this maaser sheni on the other half a piruta, and then boom, everything's fixed. The Gemara says, "Mi savrat peruta u'mechsa tafsi shte perutot." How can you use maaser sheni on 2 peruta coins worth of on 1.5? That won't 1.5 worth on 2 peruta coins won't work. It's not enough to make these 2 full coins kodesh. Lo peruta tafsa peruta. The 1 peruta will grab 1 coins and make it kadosh. V'hatzi peruta lo tafsa. But the second half won't be enough to make that full second coin into kodesh. And again, you have the right and drabanan, and it won't work. They don't combine. Okay, so bring a larger coin like an isar, and do the lesser value, less than of isar value of maser sheni onto it. Then use the remainder of the coin to do the other maser sheni in the mixture. Mar says no. He might come to bring piruta coins instead of bringing 1 larger coin. He might bring 2 piruta coins and then make that same mistake. So we see even according to Hizkiah, the maaser sheni, unless the single piruta, cannot be permitted through redemption. Right? Rather, it has to be done through, because all the tricks don't work. Rather, it has to be done by tel berov, like the Braita said.